Nay. Get your food. Get your food. If you say one more thing, I'm going to knock you out. Oh, my grandma, say one more thing, I'm going to knock you out. Oh, say one more thing, I'm going to knock you out.
Hey everyone, DJ here, and today we're going to talk about a case that went viral. This one happened in Chicago inside of a restaurant. The restaurant is called the Maxwell Street Express, and there was a lady called Carlishia Hood, 35-year-old mother, and she went there to pick up some food. And while she was inside the restaurant, she got into an argument with another patron, and his name was Jeremy Brown. Now, I'm not sure why they got into an argument. It could have been somebody thinks somebody was skipping the line. It could have been anything. Like, you know, when you're living in the hood, people get into little arguments over nothing, and a lot of times those arguments turn deadly, and that's exactly what happened here. So let me show you this video of Carlishia and Jeremy in an altercation. So Jeremy Brown is so upset, he decides that it's a good idea to use all his strength and punch a 35-year-old woman in the face 3 times. Do you imagine a man is about 4 to 5 times stronger than a woman? And for a man to raise his fist to punch a woman, I don't understand how any man could get to the point where he decides he wants to beat up a woman. And in this case, there's some disagreement in a restaurant, right? Like if it was me and somebody skipped the line or whatever, I have no idea who was skipping the line. I'm not sure exactly why they got into a verbal altercation, but it doesn't really matter. You know, sometimes as an adult, you got to just walk away, because it's not worth it. So Jeremy decides he's going to attack Carlishia, and he tells her that she should shut up, and if she say another word, he was going to punch her. Like, who brought up this dude? He's 32 years old and he has no sense. Just because you're living in the hood doesn't mean you have to be ghetto. Doesn't mean you have to be violent. Doesn't mean you have to sell drugs. There are a lot of people who come from the hood, and I come from the inner city. You know, I grew up in Brooklyn. In my early 20s, I was in Brooklyn for many, many years. And yeah, having to deal with people who don't have any common sense and who just ignorant, and the first reaction is to fight. And I've been on the basketball court with these type of guys, and yeah, it's been tough navigating that, because you know, fights lead to guns. I can get into a fight and probably win, but would I really win when the guy's going home to grab a gun to come back and kill me? No, I'm gonna lose. So no matter how it goes, whether I win the fight or I lose the fight, I lose. So the best thing to do is to avoid getting into problems with people. And when you see someone who's aggressive and who doesn't have any common sense and who doesn't have any respect, right? A lot of people think that they're bullies. Like they can come and just do whatever to you and you got to take it. You know, people like that you just got to stay away from, because anybody could easily carry a gun, right? I can carry a gun. Next thing you know, somebody try to bully me and I shoot them, and guess what's going to happen? I'm going to end up in jail for a long time, probably for the rest of my life, and that person is going to be dead, and then that's 2 people out of society, and it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. It doesn't help. And this is Carlishia Hood, 35-year-old mother, and she's there with her 14-year-old son, and he was in the car, and while the altercation started happening, he walked to the door and he saw his mother being punched by this dude, and he had his mother's gun on him, and his mother's gun was a legally acquired gun. So he pulls out the gun and shoots the man who was punching his mother, and he was 1000% right. I would have done the same thing. Jeremy, after he was shot the first time, he ran out the restaurant trying to get away, and Carlishia's son went behind him and fired a couple more shots. Some people were saying, you know, that was a little too much, but I disagree, because he could have been going to his car to get a gun to come back and kill them. So you got to really get rid of the threat, because your mother and yourself, life could be in jeopardy. So he had to do what he had to do. And it's tough for a 14-year-old to have to make that decision. I couldn't imagine me as 14-year-old having to kill somebody, or my son at 14-year-old having to. That's just crazy. But you wouldn't believe that growing up in the hood. That's just normal. It's just, you get into altercations, you gotta grow up fast because there's a lot of bullying and a lot of people trying to challenge you in every possible way. So it's tough to grow up in the inner city and try to stay out of jail and try to do things the right way, because it's going to be somebody like Jeremy Brown. It's going to be somebody like him that's going to try you. So after the altercation happened and Carlishia's son shot Jeremy, they left the location. I don't know why, but anytime you shoot someone, you should stay and wait for the cops to come and speak to the cops. So when they left the location, the cops arrived and they got information from Jeremy's girlfriend who was there. And Jeremy's girlfriend obviously told them that Carlishia and her son shot Jeremy, and the cops assumed that Carlishia and her son was wrong. And when they finally picked up Carlishia and her son, they was arrested and put in jail. And it so happened that there were actually cameras. The store had a camera, and there were other people who were filming what was happening. And that's how we have this video. So Carlishia had to get a lawyer, and once the video was released, there was outrage because a lot of people were saying that was self-defense. And I totally agree. And people on the other fence were saying that it stops become self-defense when you go behind someone who's running away. And I disagree. First of all, the guy who was running away is the aggressor, punching this woman in the face 3 times with all his strength. That's just heartless. Do we need people like that in society? Do we need a guy like Jeremy? Let's say Jeremy didn't die and he went to jail and he comes back out. Do you think he's going to change? Do you think, let's be real, that guy's been like that for his whole life, and he was going to be like that until he died, until somebody killed him. And if that boy didn't kill him that day, that guy was going down the wrong path. He was either going to be in jail or somebody else was going to kill him. You see people like that. They don't respect people. They don't respect life. He obviously don't respect women. I could only imagine his rap sheet, and I could only imagine that the women that he's been with, how he treated them. Because if he had easily just balled his fist to punch someone he just met 5 minutes ago, just imagine what he's going to do to his girlfriend when he gets upset. People like this we don't need in society. Why do we need them around? For what? They're not serving any purpose. So I'm not shedding any tears for Jeremy. People like that, I don't want to be around people like that at all, period. I want to be around reasonable people who have common sense and who respect each other. And when you have a disagreement, people who could just have a dialogue and we could just talk about it and talk it out and see, what's fair for everyone, right? And that's it. That's what you call civilized people. And that's the kind of people I want to be around. Because when you're around uncivilized people, your life is hanging on a string, because at any moment they could decide, let me pull out a gun and shoot this person. So yeah, I think Carlishia Hood is a brave woman, and she didn't back down from this guy screaming at her and threatening to punch her. When you grow up in the hood, you got to be tough. And she didn't back down, and I agree with her. I mean, personally, I would have backed down, because look at what happened. It could have been the other way around. Jeremy could have a gun. He could have pulled it out and he could have shot her and she could have been dead. So a lot of times these arguments you might get into, it's not worth it, man. It ain't worth it. Just, if you wanted to skip the line, let him skip the line. It doesn't matter. Like these little arguments, I'm not going to be arguing with nobody in public. He doesn't know what I'm carrying. I don't know what he's carrying. I'm not arguing with nobody in public. I'm just going to let it be. And that's it. And so I can live and go home and see my family and laugh with my son and kiss my wife and all that. Yeah, I'm not going to be coming home in a body bag because of some stupid argument, right? But at the same time, I applaud Carlishia for not making this guy bully her. And, she had a legal gun and apparently was in the car, and her son brought the gun and he shot the man who was punching his mother. I agree that he did good. 14-year-old son. He protected his mother, and Carlishia, she got out of jail, and I'm sure she sued the police department for arresting her, because why will they arrest her when they had video of what actually happened? The store had video, and the patrons, some people were shooting video on their phone. So why wouldn't they review the evidence before arresting somebody? And if they had reviewed the evidence that was right in the store, they would have seen the guy was the aggressor and he got what he deserved. So let me know what you think about this story, because this story went viral, and this story happened many years ago. This is not something new, but you know, I go through a lot of stories that I come across, and you know, we like to keep the dialogue going. So I didn't get to release a video last week because I caught the flu and I was down for the count. So I'm back. I'm feeling good again, and I'm about to continue making some videos. We're going to talk about how women can protect themselves from bad situations like this one. And I want to thank everyone who have supported the channel, all the subscribers, and all the people that leave comments. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
On June 18th of this year, my life changed. My son's life changed. I've experienced pain in many ways that I would never have thought, never. What happened to me was totally unnecessary. Never in a million years would I have imagined being brutally attacked, beaten, and then arrested. I am thankful that the Cook County State's Attorney dismissed the case. I am also thankful to have my son with me and by my side, and also his charges being dismissed. I thank my family for supporting me and the people all over the world. I am now in the process of healing and putting my family's life back together. During this trying time, we ask if, you know, we could please have space to rest and recover from this life-altering situation, and that you all continue to keep us in your prayers. In the near future, I will be able to respond to outpouring of support. Again, I just need a little time to heal and to just get my life back with my baby. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, I know.
It's all right, Carla. It's all right.